Hello and welcome to True Crime Diary, a light-hearted podcast on a serious subject. Every 2 weeks we look back through true crime stories to discuss an event that took place on this week in history. I'm your host Mark Decana, and with me as always are my friends Jed Lester.
Hello.
And Rue Turner.
Hello.
Well, go on then, say what you got to say.
Is this episode our 50th
We've become middle-aged.
recording?
Yeah.
Yeah, 50 episodes. I can't remember about 47 of them.
Yeah.
But how long are we? It's like 2 and a bit years or something?
Yeah.
I mean, it's all right. It's an achievement, isn't it?
Get a badge.
Don't slap yourself too hard on the back there, Jed.
All right, we're just having a chat. How many downloads have we had?
At
give
time of
people
record,
an
about
idea.
32,500. You can
sounds-
see it on our website.
That sounds quite good.
Yeah, that's
Sounds
not
all right.
bad.
Considering I said, let's get 1,000 in the first 6 months. I think we beat that, so...
I mean, there's thousands of podcasts, and it goes to show that most of them don't get downloaded, I suppose. But anyway, thanks to everyone for downloading ours. I say ours, kind of Mark's. I'd say Mark is 93% the catalyst behind it. Rue's probably...
I'm just gently cupping.
6%. I'm 1%. But regardless, thanks very much from all three of us.
Quite right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you took the photo that adorns our...
Well, that's the 1%.
That's the 1%
Yeah.
adorns our website.
Don't do anything else.
Christ, that means 50 covers.
Actually,
covers,
come to
yeah,
think of
yeah.
it,
Wow.
we should probably redo that as we've wizened time the old enemy has. Yeah, we there you go. There's a
The
scoop.
episodes.
Viewers, we're going to take a new photo at some
Yep.
point in the next 50.
So 50 episodes, including 2 specials, and we've
Right.
also done 3 brief introduction / thank you messages. So
Anyway, cheers.
anyway,
Yeah,
thanks
cheers.
a lot. 50 episodes, and
Good
long may
night.
they
Yeah.
continue.
Long live the king.
See you in another 50.
So the date we're looking at this time is the 30th of December, and in the new style calendar of 1916, one Grigori Yefimovich Novik was assassinated in the basement of the Yusupov Palace in St. Petersburg. You may know him better under the name Rasputin.
What was that a nickname?
That was a nickname, yes, it's in Russian.
We all know him as Rasputin. I've literally never heard of that other name. But
Yeah.
we all know him as Rasputin.
Everyone knows him as Rasputin.
All of us.
Yeah.
You name it, ask anyone.
There are some who call me Tim.
Well, Rasputin was a nickname,
Oh, yeah.
and it means the debauched one,
Oh, right.
because of his wild reputation.
Meaning women thought that. What did men think of him?
Well, that would have come from men and rivals and whatnot.
Because I'll refer you to the text I have in front of me from this historical document from what years are we talking about? Rasputin-y things.
Well, he died in 1916, so...
Okay, so 60 and a bit years later, this historical document was released. And for instance, on that subject that you just said, most people looked at him with terror and fear, but to Moscow chicks, he was such a lovely dear.
Yes, I've heard
Is that a historically accurate statement?
Doesn't seem to fit with his nickname.
From this document that I'm reading
a
from.
man so well loved.
Well, he believed that by sleeping with lots of women, he could take away their sin.
Classic.
So he clearly tried.
That always...
Classic cult leader.
Do you mean in a religious kind of bent, or just as a bloke trying to make up a reason?
Well, I think he probably said that was...
Because that's classic
Why he wanted to sleep.
cult leader
Yeah.
thing, isn't it?
I
Religiously
absolve you of your sins, my dear.
now line up outside that door.
Yeah. Bring all your friends.
You, Maram, 10:30 tonight. You, 10:45. Bring a friend.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. See, for instance,
Yes.
also in this
Historical record.
historical document I have in front of me. He could preach the Bible like a preacher, strangely enough, full of ecstasy and fire. But he was also the kind of teacher women would desire, which is handy for both parties, I suppose. Both parties were... would you say both parties were willing?
Yes, I would say that.
Would you?
He was known as a healer. So if anyone...
Classic, yeah.
As a healer, yeah. So people...
So he was known for laying on hands.
laying on of hands, very much so.
Right, okay.
I've got to say, I'm impressed that you've finally done some research.
I haven't done any research. I just 30 seconds ago Googled some lyrics. I mean, I suppose technically that's research. Anyway, yeah. Get on with this story.
Okay, so Rasputin, as we know him, and
By the way, in this document it says he was Russia's greatest love machine.
Okay, I'll reenact clinches it then.
Yeah, sure. Carry on.
Okay, so I've
He also said it's a shame how he carried on.
Absolving all those sins.
It's such a shame, isn't it?
Just absolving all over the place.
Anyway,
Any more?
do continue.
Please feel free to interrupt me any more time you want. I mentioned it was in the New Style calendar because this was during a period of switching from the old and new calendars. So in the old style, it might be referred to as the 17th of December, but in our current calendar, it's the 30th. So
So what did the old... They just shifted it 13 days, did they?
They added a fortnight. It was the leap fortnight.
in a fortnight?
yeah.
The lead up to Christmas.
Need extra time
Yeah.
to buy a present. Shopping time.
I've completely
Just
forgotten.
chuck another 2 weeks in.
Yeah. Quite right.
What was it before then?
It was
Like
a Wednesday.
different months. What are we Gregorian now? Calendar.
Yes.
We are.
So it
yeah.
used to be the Julian.
Julian.
Julian calendar.
What's today's date in the... Oh, currently the Julian calendar is 13 days behind the Gregorian. So to convert from Julian to Gregorian, you add 13 days. Why would you swap?
To coincide with the rest of the world, maybe.
Right, okay.
They changed it over a long period of time, though.
Oh, did they? It's like Sweden. They when they swapped from driving on the right-hand
overnight.
side of the road to the... No, they did,
that's
they
right,
did
yeah.
it gradually.
That's true. And there were roads that intersected.
They did it... The point is they didn't do it overnight. They did it gradually. Brilliant.
Right, so Rasputin, he was a Russian mystic. He has been referred to as the Mad Monk.
What did you call me?
But actually, there was another man called the Mad Monk who was actually a friend of Rasputin for a time, called Sergei Trufanov. He was the Mad Monk. He was a monk, and he was mad. Whereas Rasputin was not a monk. He was a healer. So although he was religious and he was like a wanderer, if you like, a pilgrim, if you must,
Right.
he wasn't
Okay.
a monk. So there.
Wasn't his first pilgrimage a bit of a forced, well, allegedly a forced one?
Yes, that is true.
It's a forced pilgrimage.
Well,
You will
you go
believe
and
me.
make yourself pure and come back now that you've done these bad things in our village.
Oh, okay. Right.
So it's like, either we're going to treat you really
Oust
badly
you.
here or you go.
Right. Okay.
So he went.
Yeah, there was a suggestion that he partook in the theft of a horse.
Yeah.
And basically had to leave the village. So then it was basically, I'm going on a pilgrimage. Because he had to leave, basically. So, I mean, there's lots of suggestions about why. But basically, yes.
But no solid evidence for any.
No, there's very little evidence for a lot of his life, to be fair.
There's very little evidence of his life.
For what happened within it.
right.
Not that he was alive.
Wow.
He was alive.
Yeah, sure.
And he had a wife and child.
He did. He had a wife and child. He had 7 children. 3 of them survived to be adults.
Yep.
His daughter Maria, whilst in the USA, was a lion tamer.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Reflects somewhat on her childhood, perhaps.
Yeah. But she had to
Wow.
give up being a lion tamer after she was mauled by a bear.
Oh, right.
Since she moved to bear taming.
Ironically, she should have been a
yeah.
bear tamer.
Yeah.
Been fine. And then probably would have been mauled by a lion, but who knows?
Was she in a travelling circus or something?
No, she was an accountant.
Yeah.
just some lion taming on the side.
Yeah.
she was in the circus. I don't know what circus it was, but it was a travelling circus. As part of her act, she billed herself as daughter of the Mad Monk,
Yeah, right.
even though he wasn't a mad monk.
Yeah.
Neither mad nor monk.
Yeah, and she worked in the Californian shipyards as a riveter during the war.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
incredible life.
Tough lady.
Yeah, very tough. However, Rasputin himself, he went on this pilgrimage, as you say, because he was like a peasant. He's not believed to have any formal education or anything. Quite unruly, poorly educated. Apparently, in his diary, he spelt the word diary wrong.
Really?
So he was, quite illiterate.
He just worked at a dairy. with some cows.
Maybe that's it. So, turn to religion. And as you say, he went on his pilgrimage. And basically, yes, as a nomadic lifestyle, as a holy wanderer, he would just wander around. But he took interest in like religious sects and arguably some cults. But he never really joined any of them.
What was that sect that he was associated?
The Klisti.
That's the ones. Yeah.
Yeah, they're supposed to engage in sexual orgies and flagellation.
Klisti means whip, doesn't it?
Yeah, they did. Apparently, they were flagellists,
Yeah.
meaning they would beat themselves.
Masochists.
Yeah, basically masochists.
Was it he joined a gang of flagellists?
Allegedly. Apparently, he might have visited them, hung out with them, not for any long period of time. And there was he visited a lot of others as well, a lot of other religious circles.
I'm guessing he would have been really living on his wits, wouldn't he, if you're just touring about the place?
I suppose so.
He'll have had no assets of his own. He wouldn't have been able to pay his way.
Yeah.
So all he could offer is spiritual advice.
Yeah,
In
exactly.
inverted
return
commas,
for-
healing.
Yeah.
In return for a meal and somewhere to sleep.
Yeah.
So he would have learned, I'm guessing, how to manipulate people and
Yeah.
get what you need.
Especially if they were like religious sects and cults and what have you, because you just go up and start saying religious things to them and they'll think,
Yeah, sure.
he's one of us, come
Yeah,
and
yeah.
eat our food and hang
weak
out
at
at our
the knees.
place. Yeah, exactly. Fast forward to 1905, when Rasputin first met the Tsar of Russia. He was introduced to Tsar Nicholas II,
Nicholas II, who used to be bizarre.
and he was described by the Tsar as a man of God. It was apparently a very quick intro.
Man of God. Tsar, man of God.
Do you know how we got to meet the Tsar? I mean, that seems like quite a lift.
Pretty
isn't it?
big
From
deal.
being,
Yeah,
wandering
yeah.
about in the shrubbery to suddenly you meet the Tsar of the whole of Russia.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's probably partly because of his wanderings, and he's basically become known to every religious group, formal or informal, across all of Russia.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there must have been something about him.
Yeah.
Wonder what it is.
Look deep into my eyes.
But if you're hanging out at these sort of religious discussion groups, more and more some of those are going to have influential and wealthy people come in.
So was he? It was healing and I don't know, religious-y things. That's what got him on the map.
Yeah.
Well, you say that. Because in this
Are you referring to your document again?
Yeah.
I just thought I'd go back to my document. It said, I don't know whether I'm slightly jumping the gun a bit, but it said he ruled the Russian land and never mind the Tsar. This is why I was asking about the if he had any other talents, but because the Kazachok he danced was apparently really wonderbar. So there you go. He might have another string to his entertaining
Yeah.
bow.
Big on dancing.
Yeah.
Big dancer. Big dancer. Wunderbar is an interesting way of
Usage
phrasing
of-
it.
Yeah.
It's German.
Equally, it also rhymes with Tsar.
There you go. I don't know that he was a dancer.
Well, it says here he was.
Oh, okay. Well, I stand corrected.
So let's take
by
this
a reliable
as
source.
fact.
He didn't rule Russia, but part of the reason he was not very well liked outside of court
Yep.
was that he was very influential. The reason he was very influential,
He had the ear of...
at the ear of the Tsar,
The Tsar,
or
right,
the Tsarina, more specifically, Alexandra,
Ah, right. Oh, okay. She the queen?
the Queen, Mrs.
Good.
Mrs.
Yeah,
Tsar.
I've got something about her.
I'm sure you do.
Yep. Carry on.
Well, in 1906, he met after a couple of visits to the palace, Rasputin met the children of the Tsar and Tsarina. And it's, of course, the most famous thing is that their son, their only son, Alexei, was a haemophiliac.
Do the blood thing. Come on, do it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And because Rasputin was considered a healer, he was asked to comfort the, what's he called, would be Tsarevich? I don't know. The heir. As the male,
right.
he would have been the heir to the
son.
throne. The son, yes.
But the Queen, was it the case that the Queen pushed this to happen, the meeting, the kind of... I mean, she was a fan of his.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I still can't quite fully comprehend the fame and notoriety and of apparently all of Russia. Who just knew about some bloke who was basically wandering around and good at having a chat, kind of thing.
Yeah, just a
I mean, at the time, you can kind of
tall, grubby man.
you can understand it now when the world is connected to every part of and he went viral basically. But 100 years ago, when there were barely any roads or let alone anything else.
Yeah.
They've got. They probably would have had the train by then, wouldn't they?
Oh, they had the train.
Yeah. But anyway,
Well, it's like
it's
celebrity
well
gossip.
Absolutely,
isn't it? He's been
yeah.
hanging out in all the best places to be seen. And more people are going along to salons for discussions.
So he would go to those.
He would go to those,
particular-
and then there would
right,
be posh people would turn up to hear the latest ideas
of course,
and theology and what have you. And then they'd talk to their upper echelon.
Well,
and then,
for instance,
then they go, "Oh, my kid is sick, and he's a healer. Get him.
Oh, get him! I know this
I know
bloke.
this fella."
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, for instance, in this document, it states that for the Queen, he was no wheeler dealer, so she obviously believed him. Though she'd heard the things he'd done, she believed he was a holy healer and would heal her son. So
Yes.
she was all in for him to do his magic or whatever.
Yeah, that is true. That's very true. So when Alexei, young...
That's true.
That is true.
I'm quite
Surprisingly, that's true.
good. Yeah.
So when Alexei, he had a hemorrhage in early 1907,
I'm in danger.
and they sent for Rasputin to come and pray for him.
What? Not like a doctor.
Well, I imagine doctors as well, but,
Yeah,
but he was in the room.
Let's not send the doctor home just yet, but knock yourself out with the praying.
Yeah, belt and braces,
We'll have either or, we'll have both, yeah.
Apparently, over the ensuing few years, Rasputin's presence actually was a comfort. And apparently, the doctor said it did heal, or certainly his symptoms would allay, but that's probably down to the aspirin that Rasputin stopped the doctors from prescribing.
Yeah.
Or the
Basically
prayer.
it was, yeah.
Well, if he had a calming influence on the kid, then that would have reduced blood pressure,
Sure, yeah,
reduced
Yes.
heart rate,
Anxiety.
which are all key factors in
Absolutely.
reducing blood flow.
Yeah,
Sure,
yeah,
sure.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it probably was having a really positive effect on him.
Yeah, very much.
How are you feeling?
Terrible. No, better.
So maybe he was a wheeler dealer.
So his notoriety because of that would have gone right old sky high.
Oh, yeah, sure.
That would seal the deal.
So, by that point, obviously the Tsar and Tsarina think he's
Think he's brill.
Lord God Almighty.
Yeah.
So everyone else is like, going, who's
Yeah.
this peasant?
Because what they
Because-
thought,
Well, because
announced.
they would lose influence, wouldn't they?
Yeah, sure.
The child becomes the family priority more than the country. A country which in later years would be embroiled in a terrible war, which we'll get to shortly.
You're using that voice again.
I know, I can't
You use
not
that.
do it.
I'll tell you what, you've used that in Halloween. You
Yep.
used that Halloween.
Thank you.
What was the last pod that came out?
I don't know, but he used it in one that we were talking
mean
about
you
some
don't know?
Cockney stuff. It crept out.
Oh, yeah.
What was the last one? It was
Millennium.
yeah, that was you used it. Can't remember why you used it there, but you used it then.
Yeah.
Halloween,
Yep.
Cockneys, and Russia.
It's
It's
the
it's a good hat trick of
All-purpose voice.
all-purpose, yeah,
It's my narrator's
multi-purpose voice.
Yeah, it's my narration voice.
Sinister, scary, ghosty.
Since the scary ghosty. That's the three.
Cockney.
So with Rasputin's growing influence over the royal family,
Yep.
as I say, he became sort of more controversial. Everyone started levying accusations at him. He was accused of rape. He was accused of heresy. He was accused of having an affair with the Tsarina Alexandra.
I have my work. I ask for no more.
You are so good, Grigori.
Because once you get to the top, there's only one place to go.
That's it.
Sure, yeah.
Be a lot of jealousy and
The gossip and hearsay and adulation that got him to the top is the exact thing that's sending him down again, as opposed to him having done something bad. Because
Yeah.
currently he's been vaguely helpful, hasn't he?
Yeah, arguably.
It's classic, like, fame. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, he's, whatever. It's she or she's achieved that thing, and then people just get tired of seeing your face or whatever. And get him off.
doing stuff.
Yeah. Do-gooding or whatever. Winning trophies or being on telly all the time, and then everyone
But then
hates you.
maybe he was a wrong end. I don't know.
Well, I mean, we haven't had any. Let's face it, it's all rubbish in the sense he was just a bloke who was good at having a chat, but he went to the right places to hang out, but I don't think he did anything horrendous yet. Anyway,
No, not really. I mean, it's all a lot of accusation rather than any fact. He wasn't tried for anything. But the problem is, anything that did go wrong on a broader level, like starting World War One, for example, anything that went badly would be levied at his door, kind of thing.
Oh, right.
Oh, that's obviously because of his influence. Like, for example, Tsar Nicholas, he took over control of the army because the army was going so bad during World War One. And when he took it over and he did as bad, if not worse, everyone said that, that's Rasputin's influence on him, telling him what to do.
Okay, that's what I mean, yeah.
And then the government was interfering in the bureaucracy of the nation, and it wasn't doing well, and the economy would decline, and of course that's all his influence. That's him.
The pitfalls of fame.
Yeah, he was accused of basically being a puppeteer, of operating the Tsar and Tsarina like marionettes. And that's the government who would say that, the politicians.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. So he obviously did have some influence. If he didn't have influence, then they probably would have just ignored him. Do you know what I mean?
I would have thought so, because they wouldn't have known who he
irrelevant.
was. Yeah.
Or it's just a scapegoat for problems.
Yes.
Possibly, yeah.
You know, you blame
It's not
the guy.
us, it's
Blame the
him.
guy you don't like.
Yeah.
For all the things that
Absolutely,
go
yeah.
wrong.
I mean, there's loads of politicians who get for good reason, but also they just get it in the neck because people don't know anyone else to.
Yeah. Hello, my name's Mark Decano and I host the Comedy in a Nutshell podcast, in which I talk with those in and around the comedy circuit, and most especially the comedians, about what comedy means to them.
Simon Amstel plus Lena Dunham plus Mr. Blobby. I thought that would be a good combo.
Every gig you get is somebody else not getting a gig.
I've had people like pull out a notepad and I've been like, oh no, thank you.
You are a jester and you're here to bring light relief to people's lives.
Somebody at the end was like, oh my God, she's dirty. And I was like, oh, thank you very much.
My boyfriend says he feels like he has to tread very carefully because he was like, I know that everything has the potential to become material.
I can now give to people and they definitely in that moment are having a good time.
So if you want to know more about what comedy means to the people at its heart, then hear it straight from the horse's mouth. Comedy in a Nutshell, wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome to Fringe, baby.
So on the 12th of July in 1914,
Yes.
there was an assassination attempt on Rasputin by a peasant woman named Chiona Guseva.
I'll get you, my pretty!
She stabbed him in the stomach outside his home.
Is this the suite of apartments or so that the Tsar put him up in?
Pokrovskoy.
Pokrovskoy is
I don't know
where
that
he
is.
grew up.
So-
That's his sort of family town.
So no, that's in his house in his hometown.
Oh, so he'd gone home at this point.
Yes.
Right.
So it's his home in Pokrovskoy, his hometown where he grew up.
Okay.
Was that the only assassination attempt on his life?
No, there's the other one
Was it
where he
not?
died.
Ah, right. Okay.
That wasn't an attempt.
That was an attempt.
Because in this document it says that he wasn't stabbed. They tried to poison him.
They did. That's the exciting one, which we're coming to
does that mean... Was that successful?
Yes.
Well, I think you'll find that...
We'll get into it.
All right.
It appeared for a while that he might not survive. He was very seriously wounded. Yeah.
Just don't even look at me, all right? I'm in trouble here.
Physician, heal thyself.
Exactly.
Well, quite.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what the issue is. Just get one of your
lay on your hands and you'll be fine by breakfast.
Get one of your other healer mates. You'll have loads of healer mates. Get one of them to do it.
All at it.
Yeah.
But when he was at death's door,
oh yeah,
he did have surgery. He was in hospital for a bit, and he recovered. And that only served to fuel the idea that he was mystical.
Ah, right,
yeah.
Because no one ever gets stabbed and survives.
Well, I don't know. Yeah.
I'm invincible!
So, the moment came in 1916 when the group of noblemen decided that they would hatch an assassination plot.
Oh yeah.
So Felix Yusupov, prince, and the Grand Duke Dmitry Pavlovich.
It's quite high up. They could have got some gang of ne'er-do-wells to do it.
Yeah.
But they high up people of... well, it says here, it says men of higher standing. That's true, isn't it?
Very much so, yes.
Yeah.
And if there was a peasant woman who tried to stab him, then I'm sure there would have been other peasant people who could have been persuaded.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Or just hired hands. These are rich
That's what I mean.
people.
Yeah,
give them a payment to
do it.
To go and do it. Just a gang of thugs and beat them in the street.
But that wasn't the case.
That was not the case, no.
Are these like politician equivalents?
There is a politician, at least one politician was in the conspiracy, yes.
And were they all men?
And they were all men, yes.
Because in my in this manuscript, in quotation marks, this man's just got to go, declared his enemies. But the ladies begged, don't try to do it, please. That's why I did that emphasis on enemies.
Enemies.
Unless they were just keeping it quiet and secret, so that he would just disappear. Do you know what I mean? You don't. If you're paying people, then you've created more of a trail.
Yeah.
But those type of men of, and I quote, men of higher standing, you just wouldn't go anywhere near that kind of thing for fear of being whatever ousted and I don't know.
Yeah,
but maybe if they're military or warring types, it's really not that much of a big deal for them.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
if they'll have done military service,
they
probably wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, possibly keeping... I mean, they've already got a conspiracy between the men who are coming up with the plan. Maybe they didn't want to get anyone else in, because in case word got out...
Well, exactly, that's what we were saying. Yeah.
Just keep the secret tight. Keep it to your chest.
If you want a job done, do it yourself.
Just get on with it. Yeah.
Maybe they had some hand in that peasant woman.
Well, that came up.
Right, well, that didn't work.
I must admit...
We'll have to do it ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, the first time you said it, I thought, peasant woman, why would she care? Well, do you know what I mean? Meaning someone may have gone, here's a shekel.
ruble.
Here's half a ruble.
Yeah.
Love. And a knife.
So this woman, Guseva, who stabbed Rasputin, she was a follower of another man who used to be a priest.
A rival.
Named Ilyodor. He had been a supporter of Rasputin, but he denounced him in 1916 and became a radical conservative.
Right.
So
he could have planted the seed then, and
he slagged him off. Basically, he had to go at Rasputin being a bad, being a false prophet and.
Who will rid me of this troublesome priest?
Exactly. So Guseva, as one of his followers, possibly just acted in the same way as the murderer of Beckett. So, I'll ingratiate myself with the guy I like by getting rid of the guy he doesn't like. Who could say? Rasputin did predict his own death.
Did he?
He did claim to be able to read minds and see into the future, what have you. But he certainly did it once. Probably not the rest of the times. He did say that the world would end in August 2013, which did not.
So this is a hologram.
We're in the Matrix. In December 1916, he wrote to the Tsar saying that I feel I shall leave life before January 1st. If it was your relations who brought
my death, then no one, not you or your children, will remain alive for more than 2 years. You will all be killed by the Russian people.
obviously we know that the family were all executed in 1918 within 2 years.
Yeah,
and he died before January the 1st. So
I mean, the only thing about that is him saying that, meaning a bloke with loads of enemies who could kill him at any point. It's like,
yeah.
I mean, and all right, fine, it came true, but
with a world war on the eve.
Yeah, I mean, it's reasonable to predict that he might have been killed, but it's interesting that he would predict that the entire royal family would die within 2 years. The war wasn't over, the revolution hadn't taken place yet, so who knows what could have happened. But, So Prince Yusupov invited Rasputin to his palace, and they decided to hold a little...
a dinner party?
Well, not a dinner party. They'd have wine and cakes.
Merriment. Yep.
Madeira
wine, yes.
He was a big fan of Madeira.
Oh, yeah.
So they decided to hold this in the basement,
yep.
as you always do. Not one of the many dining rooms.
Yeah, right. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But, so they went down into the basement, and the only thing we really know about what happened next was from Yusupov's own account, and not the 100% reliable source, probably.
Yeah, it's got as many holes as a colander.
Yeah, sure. But what he claims pretty much is that he offered Rasputin cakes and cups of tea.
Yep.
Cake! Everybody loves cakes!
Which were all laced with cyanide.
Ooh.
Apparently.
Yeah, I'm not convinced by that.
Well, in the autopsy, there were no trace of poison at all. And cyanide is, if you're looking for poison, you would detect
and it's
it.
not the kind of poison
so they put it
slowly build up.
What did they put it in?
To?
The cake?
Tea and cakes.
Tea and cakes, nothing else?
Not at this point, yeah.
Not at this point.
And Rasputin famously didn't eat anything sweet. So he's not likely to have eaten cake if it was offered to him.
Well, it's referred to as cakes, but, it could be like bread or who knows what they mean. Russian cakes, isn't it? Could be anything. Made of wood.
Made of parsnips.
Sailor's biscuit.
Yeah, exactly.
Wood. Made of, whatever, gravel.
Rasputin, he asked for Madeira.
Have some Madeira.
How strong is Madeira? It's a fortified wine.
It's
like
port,
20%.
Basically.
Yeah, it is. It's like port, yeah.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
Have you had Madeira in Madeira?
I mean, I don't know if you've ever had a port hangover, but
no.
I should imagine Madeira is quite similar.
I've had a lot of port. It's nice.
Right.
Thanks very much. He had 3 glasses of Madeira, all poisoned.
Oh, yeah.
Still no sign of any harm.
Yep.
About 2:30 a.m., about two and a half hours later, after all cakes and tea and wine, Yusupov went back upstairs where the rest of the conspirators were, hiding
from
out
the basement.
Upstairs, from the basement.
Yep. You'd think it'd be the other way round. They'd hide.
You'd think,
if I were them, I'd hide in the basement.
You'd think.
And I'd hold the whatever chat in the, I don't know, the secondary ballroom.
Also,
the drawing room, the main one.
The basement, I mean, I've been there, Yusupov.
Have you?
Yeah.
Right.
The basement, when we
You've been in the basement?
I went to the basement.
Oh, mega.
They have, it's set up as it is in the photos from the period. And there's like a couple of mannequins dressed like Rasputin.
Have they got those wax figures in there?
Yeah. But to get in, you had to go down a really sort of small spiral staircase. I'm going, this is really awkward. There's no point in going, why are we going down here, you weirdo?
Exactly, but he should have been thinking that when they led him down there in the first place.
Yeah, why are we not going?
Why are we going to the normal, whatever, games room?
Yeah, I mean it's not. I say palace. I mean it's a very large house on the river, very ornate. So it had many rooms. It's not like there was.
Sure, yeah.
Got to go in the basement. The whole rest of the house is being refurbished.
There's probably a room just for drinking Madeira.
Well, the Madeira room. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So Yusupov went upstairs where he met up with Dmitry Pavlovich, the Grand Duke.
And they had a chat.
A tete-a-tete. Yep. And he got a revolver.
Watch it! That thing's loaded!
Went back downstairs and told Rasputin, or asked Rasputin to say a prayer. He had a crucifix on the wall. He asked him to say a prayer. And then, as Rasputin was distracted and looked away to the crucifix, Yusupov shot him in the chest. Then, for some reason, having shot him, they then all left the house.
They left the house?
Yeah, because what they wanted to do, they took his hat and his coat and they got in the car with a man dressed up to make it look like he'd gone home.
Right.
Like,
so
They dressed as him.
And
then went back to his place.
Yeah.
Oh, they're just as him.
Yeah,
Right. I was going to say...
So that anyone seeing
home.
them would think,
I was going to say, like...
Rasputin going home.
Yeah.
Like Weekend at Bernie's, but it's not that, is it? They dressed as
He's in the
him.
basement, apparently dead.
So can I just check that in this historical document, that this is actually fact?
Mm-hmm.
It says... Ra Rasputin, for some reason, don't know why it says that. Lover of the Russian Queen. They put some poison into his wine.
True.
That's true.
True that.
Well,
Ra Rasputin,
according to Yusupov,
lover of the Russian Queen, Russia's greatest love machine. He drank it all and said, I quote, "I feel fine." That's also true, isn't it?
Yes. I don't know if he would.
It was apparently laced.
Yeah, it was all apparently laced with cyanide, but also
I like the verb laced.
But again, at the autopsy, no poison at all, let alone
so it wasn't laced
as much as they claimed.
Right. So all of that's historically accurate.
It's either true or entirely untrue, depending on your perspective.
Sure, yeah.
It's just as likely true as not.
Cyanide is something that would kill you practically instantly.
Yes.
It just affects the nervous system.
Not after 2 hours.
Yeah, and you can't defend yourself against it.
Yes.
But anyway, I won't say the last line, but I mean, part of the essay, it says they didn't quit, they wanted his head. That's true as well, isn't it?
Not just his head.
So they shot him. I won't say the last few words because you haven't finished your factual.
It rhymes with head.
Just to say, rhymes with head, and there's a few more words to go, but Mark hasn't finished his actual fact.
Well, they've shot him once, and he appears to be head.
Right. He appears to be.
To be. So they've faked him being driven home.
Mm-hmm.
They've now returned to the palace, and
they all left. Yeah.
There, Rasputin leapt up and attacked Yusupov.
What are you going to do, bleed on me?
They shot him... Right, okay, I'll leave... No, I'm still not going to finish the sentence. He leapt up?
He leapt up and attacked Yusupov.
Right.
He'd healed himself again.
Yeah,
he healed himself. He fell onto his healing hands. Yusupov fled the scene.
Yeah.
We love a fleet.
As you would.
Yeah.
I thought you was dead.
He went upstairs and out into the courtyard of the palace.
Yep.
Rasputin ran after him.
Where was he shot?
In the chest.
So he'd been stabbed in the stomach
previously.
Yeah. Healed from that.
Shot in the chest.
Yeah.
But obviously he's
full of cake
and Madeira.
And
he's running across
He's full of poisoned cakes and poisoned Madeira.
And what's he doing? Running across a courtyard.
Yeah. He's gone back up the awkward spiral staircase.
He had to get up that.
Out and
that would have been
across the hall
when you're shot.
Yeah, exactly.
Pissed.
You can't exactly run away from someone up an awkward spiral staircase.
Well, he's not running away, is he? He's running.
No, but
he's pursued. Yusupov ran away. He fled.
Yeah.
Spiral staircases are easy to grab people's ankles on.
But Rasputin pursued him out into the courtyard, and there, Purishkevich, who was a right-wing politician, one of the conspirators, shot him in the head.
And
in the forehead.
What was the net result of that?
Until he was dead.
Oh, I was about to say that.
He shot him, and he was dead.
Till, apostrophe till, he was dead.
He was dead.
That's what it says in my manuscript. I just wanted to check that.
Yeah.
Right, so that's true.
That's true.
I mean, I know that's true, but...
Well, they wrapped him up in cloth, drove to the Petrovsky Bridge.
Mm-hmm. That's quite away from the city.
It's a bit away.
Yeah. And it's not like they went to the nearest bridge and lobbed him off.
I wonder what they drove in. Rubbish
Same
cars.
thing they went home in.
Rubbish. Mind you, they were posh, weren't they? They probably had good cars. There's no such thing as a van.
It would have been a posh car.
Yeah. Rolls Royce.
So they threw his body into the river.
Mm-hmm. Oh, did they?
It was alleged, again, a lot of this is all alleged, that the shot to his forehead didn't kill him. And that he actually drowned in the river. There was a rumour that when he was pulled from the river for the autopsy, there was water in his lungs, so he obviously breathed it in. That's not proven.
Would it just get in there anyway? Wouldn't it seep in?
Seep?
Yeah, when you're just like, and everything's relaxed and stuff.
He would become waterlogged, I suppose.
Yeah, that's what I mean, yeah. He was shot twice. How did he die, sir? He drowned.
But like I say, the autopsy said that there was no poison, so who knows what what the story
The
was.
autopsy would have shown up drowning as well. It's not just about presence.
The poison was the least of his worries.
Has massive effects on the body when you die.
Right.
It's not just about having some water in you.
Is it not?
No. Also, it's alleged, in response to was there any women there at the time? Allegedly, the Grand Duchess Tatiana was present, at least on the bridge, if not at the house, and was also present when his body was castrated, if that happened.
Right.
And if she was actually there.
I mean, it
Because
says
apparently,
here-
he had been accused, Rasputin, of having raped the Duchess.
Oh,
but we don't know that that's true. We don't know that she was at the house. We don't know that he was castrated, or that she was there, if that happened.
We don't know that he was poisoned.
So we don't know.
But these are all just...
We don't know.
it's
Well,
all rumour
let's
and
add to that. Don't know.
And it is all just Yusupov's story.
We've only got his
the
word
only
for
record
anyone.
there is.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, let's add to that. No idea what we're talking about. No doubt this Rasputin had lots of hidden charms. Though he was a brute, they just fell into his arms. Talking about women. Mm-hmm. So, but you suggested that, what did you say? Tatiana
allegedly
was one of the women who didn't say...
She didn't say,
hold on,
don't kill him. She did not want him dead.
No, sorry, don't you try to do it, please.
No.
That one.
If she was there, she said, do it, please.
Yeah, sure.
Now, another rumour about the assassination that keeps coming up is that it was planned or supported by Britain's MI6.
Really?
And the Russians still strongly believe that.
Of course they do.
Don't you realise how suspicious the Russians are, the British?
And that there is some evidence to that.
I think the gun was British.
Really?
And also, immediately following his death, there was an exodus of British agents from Russia. They all scarpered home very shortly afterwards.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, that is true. But also, I mean, it would have
also
been in
the war.
Well, there was a war on, and it was
Yeah.
going very badly for Russia. And one of the British Secret Service agents who was serving in Russia attended university with Yusupov. So there's a connection to the Secret Service through Yusupov. The gun may have been British, the agents all left, but, that could have been any.
Yeah, I mean, these are things that coincide. They're not necessarily causal.
And if Rasputin was against the war, so if he was preaching peace and Russia pulled out of the war, then all the Germans would
right. Okay,
head towards Britain.
I was
and
about
France.
to say, why?
It's John Lennon all over
Why
again.
would MI6 care about that? But if that's
They didn't want Russia
reason.
to pull out of the war,
Right,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. Which they ended up doing anyway, because of the Revolution, which is a song written by John Lennon.
Number 9.
So, before his body was found, it wasn't found for a few days, already news of his murder had spread.
Well, Yusupov seemed to be bragging about it, but it was like, oh, yeah, he's dead, but don't tell anyone. But that's what he said to everybody.
Yeah. Loads of them were talking about it, yeah. Loads of the conspirators were openly chatting about the death.
You mustn't tell anyone, but he's dead.
So, Rasputin was buried in a church.
Wonder what denomination that would have been.
Well, the imperial family were there. Rasputin's wife and family were not invited.
It's probably Orthodox.
Really?
Russian Orthodox, was it?
But his body was exhumed and burned by soldiers after the abdication in March 1917, after the first revolution.
Right.
I probably wouldn't want, people coming to
As a
praise him.
pilgrimage site.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
So, as I say, the autopsy, apparently the report itself was lost. But the surgeon said that there were 3 gunshot wounds. So Yusupov said he shot him once in the chest, but he was definitely shot once in the forehead. But apparently there was another shot. He had a slice in his side.
Yeah, I've seen that.
That may have been from being thrown over the bridge.
Yeah, it's sort of, is it the left shoulder, I think?
Gash.
In left, yes.
Yeah, it's like from the top corner of the shoulder down to about halfway down the upper arm.
It could have been ripped while he was being thrown over the bridge.
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah, I mean, he fell off a bridge through some ice. It could.
Yeah. As I say, no evidence of poison. And they also said no water in Rasputin's lungs, and that claims that he'd been thrown in alive were untrue. As I say, there were mentions of the idea that his penis had been severed, but according to the coroner, They were intact at the time of the autopsy, at least. However, there was an attempt to sell his penis.
Right.
As you do.
As is always the case.
Yeah. At an auction.
Christie's.
It was apparently Maria, the lion tamer, sold
her again.
His penis to the Museum of Erotica in St. Petersburg.
His
daughter Maria.
His daughter sold her own dad's penis
to a museum.
I can't.
To the Museum of Erotica in 1977.
She worked with large animals. Just to check.
Yes.
Interesting.
And it's in a pickle jar in the museum.
Right.
It is also supposedly almost 12 inches long.
Yeah.
Like the size of a lion's penis.
I was going to say, yeah. Say it as she worked with bear. She got
mauled by a bear.
I don't know anything about
right.
it.
Possibly attempting to
exactly. While attempting to sever a bear's genitals, she got attacked.
Well, it's possible that it's an animal penis because for the beginning of the 20th century, early on, after the event, a sea cucumber was mistaken for being his penis at the same time.
Right.
So it's not beyond the realms of possibility that it's not his.
So it's either a lion's willy or a sea cucumber.
Yeah. All very similar, I imagine.
Yeah. Or a pickle.
I'm starting to feel
in the
more
pickle jar.
The other thing that I heard that the Russians believe, as conspiracy-wise,
yes,
was that the murder might have had a sexual element.
From Russia with love, eh?
Not in the lady sense, but two members of the conspirators.
Yes.
One of whom was outwardly bisexual, and the other was known to be homosexual. He was just openly gay.
So you're suggesting that he was killed because he rebuked the sexual advances of the nobles?
Maybe that's it.
I think, at the very least, we have another ridiculous, outlandish conspiracy theory. Right, other surprising facts I have.
Yes.
Yusupov, who, as I said, went to university with a British secret agent, he was in the Bullingdon Club.
Oh, God, was he? Really?
Yeah. If you don't know what the Bullingdon Club is, it's a horrible sort of right-wing conservative style feasting,
gorging, trashing and vandalising.
Many British politicians from the Tory party are members.
Chucking
very much so.
Money up in the air and going, pay for that lot.
You know, when you see on films, you see a statement that says words to the effect that any similarity to persons living or dead is coincidental.
Yes.
That is because of Yusupov. He started that when he and his wife tried to sue MGM over a film called Rasputin and the Empress in 1932,
right.
in which they decided that they were being poorly represented.
Right.
So they sued them.
Did they win?
They did not win at the time.
But it triggered
the statement
saying, that statement on.
Yeah. However much it looks like them and uses their names.
Yeah. That's quite good.
I have a very interesting thing here. Now, this is again, like this whole story, it's a rumour, it's hearsay, it's probably not true, but apparently Vladimir Putin may be a reincarnation of Rasputin.
Reincarnation?
Right.
Yes. There is a theory.
Apparently, you say.
There is a theory. I don't know where this theory comes from, and obviously just the report would be enough to show it, but apparently there was an analysis of Putin's pubic hair and Rasputin's, quote, residual testicular fluid, and the comparison showed...
Where was it residing when this test was...
Apparently the DNA matched. So, there you go.
Right.
I'd say that was about as wild a rumour as you can get in this story, but it is consistent with the story itself.
Yeah, it's no wilder than any other element.
Yeah, sure. Very much so. It's a good one, though.
That is a good one.
So I've already mentioned Rasputin and the Empress, 1932, starring Lionel Barrymore as Rasputin and John Barrymore as Grigori.
Yep.
The most famous one, probably from my perspective, is Rasputin the Mad Monk, not the Mad Monk, which is a Hammer film from 1966. Christopher Lee.
That is as fantastic as it is rubbish.
Yeah. A lot of close-ups of Christopher Lee's eyes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Being hypnotic.
Oh yes, right. Yeah, of course.
He's just maniacal and mesmeric.
Is he the madman?
Yeah.
Okay.
Almost as solid a representation of Christopher Lee as it is of Rasputin is Tom Baker's performance as Rasputin in Nicholas and Alexander 1971.
Wow.
He plays a great Christopher Lee.
Right.
It's just, again, a lot of eye close-ups.
Yeah.
It's very good. I mean, good as in very entertaining, but not a good film.
You can't beat a good bit of Baker.
There's, of course, Anastasia, the Disney foray, 1997, musical, animated, with Christopher Lloyd of Back to the Future fame, / Taxi, as Rasputin.
More mad eyes again.
More mad eyes. And there's a bunch of others, right up till today. There was a 2022 special of Doctor Who called The Power of the Doctor.
It's good. I saw that. It's actually
I think it's The Master.
Yeah, it's the end of series. Not just end of series, but it's the end of... I've forgotten her name. Jodie Foster.
Jodie Whittaker. Jodie Foster would be a great
Playing
Doctor.
The Doctor. No, yeah, Jodie Whittaker is the end of... It's her last episode.
Like a season finale, yeah.
So it's the change.
And
she's going through the change.
She's going through the change, yeah.
There's the 1996 one with Alan Rickman playing the monk called Rasputin.
Yes.
It's quite good.
You've seen that one?
Yeah.
Have you watched all of the Rasputin?
I've watched at least 6 of them.
Of course you have. Of the 6,
including the Disney one.
Yeah. Wow. And I am.
When did you do all that?
I am not an animated Disney movie fan.
But you're still
not animated.
Watched.
Get it? Very clever. It's certainly not animated. Oh, and yes, while we're on the subject, I'm not sure if we mentioned this in previous episode or not, but the Romanov family, who were, as we know, executed in Ekaterinburg in 1918. Long has there been rumour of the Grand Duchess Anastasia, the youngest daughter, having escaped. Loads of people have claimed to be her, but no, she was there. She died in the house, along with everyone else. Their execution took 20 minutes.
But is that partly
what do you mean,
because
from first person to last?
Packed with gems?
No, it's because they
hid all their gems in their bodices.
Yeah, well, they were shot and then hacked to death with machetes.
It's just so...
And that's like 6 children.
Yeah.
And the parents and a few servants. So it took 20 minutes to kill them. Yeah.
Oh.
The reason one of the reasons they think that one of the daughters got away was A, because it's a nice romantic notion,
basically,
and B, because she was buried apart from the others for some reason.
Oh, right.
Probably crawling away, not quite dead, but yeah.
Wow.
So there you go. Happy note to end on.
Yes.
There's also the Netflix series, The Last Tsars.
Yes.
Which is fairly recently released, I think. That's quite good.
I thought so.
Ben Cartwright, Rasputin.
So 6 episodes, I think.
So that's
dramatic.
Yeah, it's sort of it's half cinema, half documentary. If you know what I mean, it's like little insertions and voiceovers, live action, and then it cuts to a long scene of sort of an episodic thing, and then it cuts back to historical stuff. So it's kind of interwoven together to tell the story.
Like Crime Watch.
It's reasonably well done.
A docudrama.
Yeah,
Crime Watch.
Like Crime Watch. Reenactment segment. And then apparently there's a song.
I've never heard of that. What's it about? No idea.
It's the stammering song, Rasputin.
Okay. Really?
Yeah. By Boney M.
Oh, those Russians.
That's all for this time. If you want to know more about what we've talked about on this episode, then just Google it or something. You can listen to all of our previous episodes on our website. That's www.truecrimediary.co.uk. Please remember to leave a review on your podcast provider if you can, or you can email us. That's stuff@truecrimediary.co.uk. My thanks to Jed and Rue and to all of you for listening, and we'll see you again on the next date in our True Crime Diary.